Yes, I'm trying to check my sounds, make sure you all can hear me, and move some stuff around on here. Yes. For some reason, my front monitor isn't working. So I'm gonna have to roll with it. So welcome to Teaching Tip Tuesday. My name is Michelle, aka the Ignited Teacher, and what I do on Teaching Tip Tuesday is I help you to close math learning gaps by providing research-based strategy and effective math strategies that can be implemented in your classroom as early as the very next day. So let me check something right here. For some reason, my YouTube, let me see if I can get it up and going. It says that, let me see right quick. On my channel. Oh, okay, here I am. All right, so it is up and going. I don't know why that message is there, but it is up and going. All right, so Teacher Tip Tuesday, if you are one of the people that catch me live, that's great. You can catch me on YouTube. As a matter of fact, if you're watching me on Facebook or any of those other channels like Twitter, you can catch all of my replays because sometimes life happens. It happens all the time. And you may not be able to catch Teaching Tip Tuesday, and you may have wanted to see something that really you needed to see. So what I do is I house all of my Teaching Tip Tuesday stuff on on my YouTube channel. I don't know why I'm tongue tied tonight. So on my YouTube channel. So what I do is invite you all to actually hop on over there to YouTube and get subscribe to my channel, like my live stream. And I'm actually nearing that 1,000 mark. I really am. I am so excited about that because I've been trying to get my YouTube channel monetized. So I just got the community tab so I can send you all messages now if you're a subscriber to my channel. So I'm excited about that because when you get more subscribers, it unlocks more features that you can interact with your audience. So that's how YouTube works. So I'm really trying to get that up and going. So if you're watching now, you can hop on over to YouTube and check well, do a search on YouTube for the Ignited Teacher, and I'm the only one on there for now. And you can find me and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to hit the bell notification for my channel. And I'm planning some other content that you will definitely like. Some content, I have a membership, so we've been diving into multiplication. So next week I'll be releasing some new content about multiplication and teaching it through the vertical alignment, starting from second grade up to eighth grade. Because I think eighth grade and secondary is a good point, because a lot of stuff in high school mimics. And I think if we could look at multiplication, a little bit deeper in the application of it, it helps with closing gaps in secondary. So I'm kind of excited about it. It has been a long time coming, but I cannot wait to get that out, and give you all some tips and strategies to help you with getting your kids to apply that multiplication. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with our current topic. So you all know that I've been talking about the whole pandemic issue and really what's going on in the schools. I've had my own experience. I've been watching teachers in schools and in groups. We're all having the same issue. The kids, a lot of our children have come back to school. And I know my kids, they have been resistant to routines and structure. That's just it. They haven't been, what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't that hard pre-pandemic. Let me put it like that. It wasn't that hard pre-pandemic, but it has been difficult this year with trying to get the kids with routines. But here's the thing, people don't understand. If you don't have routines and procedures, you can't teach. And I'm telling you, I've seen that and I've preached that over and over again, especially in my Managing Difficult Classrooms course. If you don't have routines and procedures, it affects your lesson, the pacing of your lesson. Just a lot of stuff goes wrong because the kids are not in any routine. For example, my students, I've finally got them to the point where they don't ask me, what are we doing today? Go to your agenda, pull it up and see what we're doing. And one little girl, she said, yeah, I'm not gonna ask what to do. Go to my agenda, because she was gonna raise her hand. Yeah, go to the agenda. Exactly. Your agenda is there for you. So this leads into the grouping of students. The pandemic has wreaked havoc on student achievement, especially for the most vulnerable, especially your kids in Title I schools, kids that did not show up for virtual learning. There is nothing wrong with virtual learning. And I don't want people to think that, oh, she's against virtual learning and she doesn't, believe in virtual. No, virtual learning is just a mode of learning. It takes the same effort for students, even if they were pandemic or not. It's still the same thing. It really is. There's nothing wrong with virtual learning. But one of the things is, if kids don't show up, you're going to have gaps. And that's the bottom line. It doesn't change anything. So what I've had to do this year is group my kids this year. And I group them every year, but this year I had to group them early. But what the problem was, guess what? We didn't have any standardized tests to even give me any direction on how to tier them. And when I say tier them, I'm talking about tier 1, your kids that are basically on grade level-ish, depending on where you work, or kids that are above grade level. Tier 2, your kids that are beneath grade level, and tier 3, your kids that are multiple grade levels behind. So I've had to tier my kids early on because I need to watch each group. I need to focus on them and see how they're progressing with my instruction. And it has been a difficult year instructionally, meaning I've gotten to the point where I'm no longer planning for 5 days a week of instruction. I'm planning 2 days a week. because there are so many changes and the lessons depend on what the prerequisite skills are. So you'll hear me talk about that tonight, in that being one of the indicators of how I group the kids. So the first step that I use is formative assessment. And I really, like I'm telling you, really, 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 really like this book. I do. And you're probably saying, like, really, really? Yeah, this book is very practical. It's called Formative Assessment in Action, and it talks about learning progressions. And that's what I like so much about this book, is that learning progressions are overlooked. Learning progressions, if you're not familiar with it, it it's about what does mastery or progressing through a content concept or skill look like. And it informs you of, it is the student making progress. For example, we're doing graphing. I know we're going into graphing. And one of the things that I know my kids have to do, they have to understand the coordinate plane. A lot of teachers think that the coordinate plane is just something, oh, we're teaching them to graph, go on the x-axis up. No, but when you have to teach rate of change and slope, that coordinate plane has to be interpreted. The kids have to be able to interpret what those coordinates mean, like with discrete and continuous domain and range. We were doing that today, and it really dawned on me how much of elementary mathematics is in algebra 1. Like, it's there. And the children are struggling with it because they're missing so many skills, and they're missing sixth grade skills. So it's a combination of things. But the first step to identifying your kids is use your formative assessment. Formative assessment is the information that you get during the lesson, and then you use that instruction to adjust your lesson. And I've had to do that this year. So I've been looking at my students' prerequisite skills with formative assessment. Do they have the skill? And if they don't, I put them in that tier 2 range. And it depends on if they could get it or not, which leads me to my second step, using anecdotal notes. Anecdotal notes from student work will tell you where the students are. But if you are a teacher and you're not looking at your students' work in depth and looking at them as far as where they are in the instruction and what is coming up next in the sequence, you'll have kids that you're teaching to either above or below, because sometimes we assume that children are like, well, they are all behind. Yeah, they may be behind, but I've noticed that since I've changed my instructional game, because this is not the status quo year, so I've noticed that my children are starting to move, and we are relaxing some when it comes to especially the planning on my part. You know, as the routines and procedures come together and my students are, I'm scaffolding, I notice that my lessons are starting, the pacing is better, but it's definitely not where it needs to be. And I've changed my classroom based on student work. And the kids are like, well, the smart kids over there. No, it's not about smart. It's about ability. What can you do? And that's what I tell the children. And it's true. It's not about smart. I don't even believe in that smart. I don't let the kids say, oh, I'm smart. No. Anybody can be intelligent in a subject. You can. It's how much effort that you want to put into it. And that's what I'm teaching the kids. And some of those kids may move to that tier 1 spot. And that's what I told them. But I need to keep an eye on what both kids are doing. So my goal is to look at student work and provide intervention based on that. So all my kids are together, and I can let my kids that can do go on, and I'm going to start flipping these lessons. But it's a process. But if You don't look at your student work and try to group your kids based on that. It is going to cause problems. It really is. One of my colleagues, she was struggling with her students and she had to do the same thing. And she said, and this is what she said, one girl that she knew talked a lot, she didn't even know the student was in the classroom anymore. Because when you give kids work at their level, they engage. If you have kids that are not on grade level and you're still, and there's nothing wrong with teaching, let me go back and clarify that. There's nothing wrong with teaching at grade level, but if you have them working independently at their frustration level, which is at their grade level, and you know they're not working there, they're going to struggle. They really are. So the first step, let me recap a little bit, is use formative assessment. I gave you the name of the book, Formative Assessment in Action. The second step is to use anecdotal notes. Look at what the children are doing. Look at, how they're putting forth effort in your classroom and make a decision on that. We have to trust our judgment. Anecdotal notes and qualitative data has equal value, that just like your standardized tests, because like I teach in my membership, I teach the what, which is qualitative data tells you what the children are struggling with. Quantitative data will tell you why they're struggling. So you have to have the two. So to make a decision about instruction and where to place kids, you need those anecdotal notes. So the last one is using the vertical alignment, which is my favorite. And you're probably saying, well, why do you use the vertical alignment to tier your kids? Well, I use it because it lets me know what's coming up and can those children handle it in the long run. For example, in my 8th grade math classes, we have equations coming up, and then you have to apply equations to just compound interest, and all these other things are coming up. So if I know you can acquire those skills for these lessons that are coming up in the alignment, you're going to struggle if you don't have the skill. That's that vertical alignment that tells me if you're going to be able to handle the concepts that are coming up at grade level. That lets me know that you are not a tier 1 student. Now, if I say with some intervention, you may be able to get it, you're a tier 2 student. But if I say, you know what, we're just trying to grow, you are a tier 3 student. And that's how I tier my kids, based on what I know about the curriculum and the vertical alignment. So it's recap time. The first step, especially for rural teachers in rural schools that don't have like progress monitoring, if you don't have that, then definitely use my process for tiering your kids. It'll take some time, but eventually you'll get it, because I tiered my kids with no data. They had not, and we have progress monitoring in our district. I tiered them with not any problem, but I took what I know. And see, I teach that in my membership. We increase math content knowledge in my Math Intervention Academy, because you can't look at skills in math if you don't have the content knowledge and the understanding. That's the first part, is look at your formative assessment. That formative assessment will tell you where you're going. The second one is anecdotal notes. What are the kids doing? Are they working, putting forth the effort? Can they acquire the skill? Do they have the skill? If they have the skill, they will be your tier 1 kids. And you're looking at those prerequisite skills for the upcoming content for the grade level. If you know those kids they can multiply, they understand fractions, and they can problem solve, those are your tier 1 children. So don't discount your, well, this thing is in the way. Don't discount your own expertise over data points, because your what you see in your classroom is far outweighs any standardized test. I promise you that. And the third one is use the vertical alignment of skills. If your students have the prerequisite skills, put them in tier one. If they are lacking or right underneath, say for instance, they need to understand division and work on some fractions, clear up some misconceptions, they're tier two. If you know they're missing like grade levels of content, they are not your, oh, and I'm sweating. They are not tier two or tier one kids. They are tier three kids. And those are your kids that you're trying to grow over time. I don't set yourself up for failure saying that, oh, I'm going to get 90% passing. No, let's be realistic and be realistic for the children. They need to know where they are and be truthful about their academics. And you need to be truthful. They have to work and they have to bring it halfway so you can meet them halfway. So if you're looking for, let me bring it up. Ooh. If you're looking for a community, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I've really refined this message. If you're looking for a community that will help you increase your content knowledge, you want to show up and be a part of a community. If you want to create an intervention plan and implement it, then the Math Intervention Academy is for you. Who is not for is people who want worksheets and activities. If that's what you're looking for, then the Math Intervention Academy is not for you. I have some people that come in and bounce out. No, I actually teach you. I'm looking for longevity and sustainability. If you want worksheets and activities, Teachers Pay Teachers is always there. They are full of them. If that's what you want to do, just print out. But if you want real success and want a growing membership, my membership is very new. If you're looking for that community at a reasonable price, then the Math Intervention Academy is for you. I teach you the things that I know, just like I taught tonight and showed you how I tier my kids without standardized tests or data points. I do the same thing in my membership. But like I said, this membership is for people who want to increase their content knowledge, looking at, moving students. And, we'll be lucky to have you get on the wait list so you'll know when I open the doors, because it doesn't stay open. I open it periodically. So I hope that you enjoyed this Teaching Tip Tuesday, and I'll see you next time in my next live stream. Bye bye.